Hasta La Vista is brought to you by Green Hill Hostas.
Hello, and welcome to Hasta La Vista, the podcast where the shade is cool, the leaves are lush, and the friendship's perennial. We are your hosts. I'm Betsy Peterson.
And I'm Mandy Olson, two hobbyist sisters who love this plant as much as you do.
Join us each week as we dig into all things hosta, the plant affectionately known as the friendship plant.
Welcome back to Hasta La Vista, listeners. Today, we have a very special episode for you.
It's not like the other interviews we've done. Our guest today is Dr. Warren Pollock, and he's a very unique guest. You see, Dr. Pollock is 95 years old, and because of that, we did this interview a little differently, over speakerphone. We worked hard to make the audio as clear as possible. When we started planning this season, I knew I wanted to talk to Warren. I always try to meet guests on their terms, asking the questions they want to talk about. And when I reached out to him, known for his work in hosta naming and the science behind hosta DNA, he wanted to go in a different direction.
So instead of our usual format, today we're taking you on a bit of a history lesson. Because the hosta world we know today didn't just appear overnight, there was a time in America when hostas were rare, when information was scarce, and when even the names and the science we rely on today were still being figured out.
Warren wanted to tell stories about his friends, the people who built this community. Hybridizers, collectors, organizers, people like Alex Summers and Eunice Fisher, names that still carry weight in the hosta world today.
They weren't just growing plants, they were building something, creating community, establishing standards, and laying the groundwork for everything we now take for granted.
And through it all, he was there.
He saw what was happening, and he didn't throw away his shot.
So come along with us on a very special story episode of the pod. This is more than an interview. It's a conversation with someone who was in the room where it happened.
Hello.
Hi, Warren. It's Betsy Peterson from the Hasta La Vista podcast. How are you?
I'm smiling because I'm about to call you.
Oh, really?
I've been in convalescent. I've been very ill for several weeks, and I've been in a convalescent home, and I didn't get any mail. Therefore, I didn't receive your letter until just this morning.
Oh my gosh, really?
And I've been reading it right now. You can't believe it.
The timing was great, huh?
I was about to call you this afternoon. I apologize for the lack of a Zoom condition, but I didn't get your letter until just recently.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad it showed up. First of all, though, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm not as young as I was years ago.
Yes.
And there's a few medical problems, but all in all, I'm doing very well.
Well, good.
I'm looking at your letter. Hopefully, I'm going to make a joke.
Okay.
Hopefully, the letter doesn't fall on the ground because you didn't number the pages.
Oh, what was I thinking?
Warren, is it true that an article written by Alex Summers for the Brooklyn Botanic Garden Bulletin helped spark your early interest in hostas?
Let me start off. The answer is yes. The Brooklyn Botanic Garden Bulletin was actually a gem years and years ago. It had an editor that was an excellent horticulturist, and he was looking for new articles, obviously, about new plants. What I want to point out that Alex did write an article, and I don't remember the year. And in the previous year was an article on hostas by a man by the name, it'll occur to me. Anyway, another fella, the New York City area. New York City area is very interesting. There were large homes built in the F. Scott Fitzgerald era on the Long Island Sound. And these big estates had gardeners, people, and there was a big interest in horticulture in the New York City area, and and they had a horticultural club in New York City that met 4 or 5 times a year, and Alex was one of the members of it. Alex lived on Long Island and was a gardener for several of these large estates. As I said, like in the F. Scott Fitzgerald era on Long Island. Remembers that he was a gardener for the vice president of CBS, the wife of the vice president of CBS. And she had taken a visit to England, a garden visit, and came back and told Alex he wanted this plant and that plant she saw in England's gardens, especially Kew Garden. And he says, I don't know where to buy them, get them in the United States. She says, I don't care, buy them from England. And essentially he did. I can't, oh, darn it, I can't think of his last name.
Listeners, a little background here. At this point in the story, Warren was having a little difficulty remembering a particular person's name that he needed for the rest of the story. So I did a little digging, and I found out that he's referring to Harold Epstein. Harold Epstein was a New York plantsman, a founding charter member of the American Hosta Society, and a legendary collector who made nearly 30 trips to Japan hunting rare plants.
Was well, I don't know what his business was, but he would go to Japan 3 or 4 times a year, and it gave him an opportunity to visit various gardens, not gardens as much as nurseries in England. And he was shipping plants back to the United States, and he shipped back plants, which included hostas, and Alex saw them in this fellow's garden and became interested in hostas.
How did you and Alex first meet?
I read the article and I contacted him. I found out there was a group of people that were interested in hostas, in particular Eunice Fisher in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and he said he was going to try and form an organization, a club, and we would have a membership, and there would be a newsletter. And he founded the American Hosta Society and became its first editor. They had a meeting, and I can't think of the date on it, in Long Island. and I found out about it, and I and my wife went to Long Island for that meeting. That's where I first met Pollock. He he was a horticulturist, a foreman, actually, a horticultural foreman to a couple of these big states, Long Island Sound. As I said, I found out about it. They had a meeting, and I went to, and at that meeting, I met Alex, and it was the beginning of our friendship.
So I have a question. If he's living in New York, how did he ever get to Delaware?
Well, there was another fella at that time in New York City area. Name was Beets, Beets, and I forgot his last name. He was a cartoonist, actually had a syndicated column with cartoons in some small newspaper on Long Island. And on Long Island was very famous because there was a nursery on Long Island, the name of Ireland, and it was a horticultural wonder at that time because it featured new plants. Oh, Alex, as I said, there, and he and Beets, the owner of Ireland, Ireland nursery, were good friends, and they were always complaining about the high cost of living on Long Island. Oh, Beets' family, someone in his family, owned a piece of land in the middle of Delaware. And when they retired, when that owner retired, the property was willed to Beets. This fella moved the middle of Delaware and invited Alex one year to come and visit him because Alex was complaining about the cost of living on Long Island. Alex came, visited Beets, was introduced to a real estate person. Real estate person introduced Alex to several big farms that were for sale at very low cost in the middle of Delaware. Alex became enthusiastic about moving to Delaware. Well, he bought one of those farms, the thought of having a small horticultural area on the farms, and he would rent out the other part of the farm to farmers locally. So he didn't farm the farm himself, but he had a couple acres for a horticultural site. Alex had a lot of correspondence with people, and one of them was, as I said, Mrs. Eunice Fisher. And Alex responded back and forth with Mrs. Fisher, and she was interested in horses, completely independent. And he suggested to Eunice, let's form a Hosta club. They did, Alex, and I forgot the year.
I think it was 1968.
There you go. That's correct.
Okay.
Good girl. 1968. And I went to one of the meetings, which happened to be at his house. And they formed the American Hosta Society, and they had a newsletter, which Alex was the editor, and very, very successful. The first garden meeting of the society was at the Wister home in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania.
Listeners, I didn't know who the Wisters were. So when I was interviewing Warren, I didn't know to ask a follow-up question. But here I am in post-production, and I did a little digging. So here's what I was able to learn afterwards about the Wisters. He's referring to John Wister and his wife Gertrude Smith Wister, who are actually two really fascinating people. I think in today's day and age, we would have called them a power couple, at least in the horticultural world. They were two prominent horticulturists in the 20th century. John served for over 50 years as director of the Scott Arboretum at Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania, where he helped found the American Iris Society, and he earned the nickname Dean of American Horticulture. Gertrude was a pioneering figure in her own right, a University of Wisconsin-trained horticulturist who directed the Tyler Arboretum and received gold medals from multiple national horticultural societies. The two got married fairly late in life in 1960 and together became central figures of the American gardening world. It was at their Swarthmore home that the very first American Hosta Society gathering was held in July of 1968. You had told me a funny story about that meeting with a bullhorn.
You remembered that. That's it. Anyway, the bullhorn story is as follows.
Okay.
One of the annual conventions was actually at Alex's house, Bridgeville, Delaware. And I was co-president of the Delaware Valley Hosta Society, which Alex and I had formed. And I said, a meeting isn't going to be successful because nobody is going to be able to hear Alex properly. Alex had a tendency, if you didn't listen very, very carefully, to mumble. And I said, well, I will follow him in the garden and lean over his shoulder with a bullhorn, and everything he explained about the horses, I would repeat on the bullhorn so that the 20 or 30 or 40 people behind me would be able to understand. And it was very successful on it. He wasn't embarrassed about it.
He didn't mind, huh?
That's a funny story.
That is a funny story. Now, can I ask a question?
Of course.
You talk about Alex and Eunice forming the American Hosta Society together in 1968. The question is, when did the two of you develop the Delaware Valley Hosta Society?
I think it's 82.
82? Okay. I will say even now, the Delaware Valley Hosta Society is the go-to local society for just great information. I mean, David Teager has done a ton of work to provide just a lot of information to, society members, but because of the internet, anybody can access it now. So I would love to know more about your Delaware Valley Hosta Society.
Well, I can humbly say It's a very active group. And it's a very active group because we've had some very active members. One of them is Teager, another is Marilyn Romanesco, died a year ago or so. And these two people, I said, were exceptional. One of the advantages was that Dave Teager was a bit of a computer whiz. Mm-hmm. And he enjoyed playing with the computer. And so Marilyn passed away, as I said, about a year ago. Be less, now that I think of it. And she was active also, not in computers, but in hostas. Yeah. We're have the local society is considering having a name hosta in her name. She is the one that organized the display garden that the local Hosta Society has, and chairs the committee that has to do the weeding and maintaining this display garden.
Yeah. Huh. You worked as a scientist for DuPont.
I worked for the DuPont company. I was an engineer, a manager in the titanium dioxide division.
Okay.
Titanium dioxide is the principal whitener, WHITAR.
Okay.
Whitens, it's the white pigment that whitens. In other words, titanium dioxide is added to the paper pulp, and that what makes paper white. Otherwise, it would be a dirty yellowish from the fermentation of the wood chips.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Titanium dioxide, and as an experimental, possible new venture, we, the DuPont company, reduced titanium dioxide to titanium metal. It's the titanium metal is what I was involved with, and I'm one of the experts in titanium metal. Titanium metal is interesting. It's used in high temperature applications, such as the blades in a jet engine. It also has a unique characteristic, so does zirconium dioxide, is that human flesh will fuse, F-U-S-E, to titanium metal. What that is the implants in people's mouths are titanium because put in a titanium artificial into the gum, and the gum will fuse, F-U-S-E, to the titanium metal. And that's what the whole implant business is about.
Okay, so you're saying that anybody that's had an implant for a tooth they end up using titanium metal, which fuses to their bone structure. Is that correct?
It could be zirconium dioxide also.
Okay, zirconium dioxide. Interesting. And that's what you were doing in your working years?
What'd you say?
I'm sorry, I should have let you finish. I just asked, that was what you were doing for DuPont in your working years.
Oh, when I was working for DuPont, we were interested in developing new alloys, titanium, for high temperature applications.
Okay.
So I'm a metallurgist and an expert in titanium metal.
Okay.
Actually, there's an interesting story is that titanium dioxide was, there was a scientist in Belgium that was working with titanium dioxide in the 30s, and he developed a process for reducing, for oxidizing the titanium dioxide chemical to the metal. And that was in the 30s. That was in the 40s. And he was so valuable to the American nuclear energy plant system. Government sent a squad of commandos, Belgium, and they actually kidnapped him voluntarily, took him back to the United States. Anyway, some miscellaneous story on it.
Hi, listeners. It's me again. So, Warren's story about this scientist in the 1940s, I needed to look that up. And it turns out that the man's name was Wilhelm Kroll, and he was indeed a metallurgist who developed a process called the Kroll process in the 1940s. And it's a method for reducing titanium tetrachloride to produce pure titanium metal. And believe it or not, it is still the dominant production method today. So, and the kidnapping he referred to, he was talking about Operation Paperclip. You've probably heard of that before, but it is the effort by the Allies to extract scientists out of Nazi-occupied Europe and have those scientists come and work for the Allies during the war. So, interesting. Well, I wanted to ask you about naming hostas and nomenclature, because that's what you're known for, I think, the most in the hosta world.
Just the three of us, remember, not just me alone.
Okay, who are the others?
We got Zonneveld and Rawson, Don Rawson.
Okay.
Three of us work very well together, and I would say that we actually work with Zonneveld. He's the originator, and we sort of modernized what he was doing.
Okay, and is he in the United States or is he in Europe?
He's in Holland.
Okay.
The Netherlands.
Okay. So you, Don Rawson, and Zonneveld are responsible for the nomenclature, the naming of hostas. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say anyone can name a hosta. It's the registration process that makes it so valuable. And then there's also Gail Hartley Alley.
Yeah, Gail.
The registrar.
Yeah, okay. So tell us a little bit about when somebody goes to register a hosta, why is that important that they follow the nomenclature rules and expectations when they go to register a hosta? Tell us about that process.
Oh, hostas are sporting all the time.
Yeah.
And people see something different and they like to see, so they give it a name. the American Hosta Society has the international responsibility of maintaining the registration process of all of these names that are submitted to them. That's a voluntary process. So someone sees something different, gives it a name, and we're the place where the name is registered and registered, and it's now we compare the characteristics of the hosta to see if it's different and why is it different or different than another hosta which already has been registered.
Okay.
Almost all commercial plants are registered. There's registration for the hemerocallis, the daylilies, for rhododendrons. Oh my God. The British maintain a person especially for registration of rhododendrons and azaleas because there's big money in that. The woman who was our registrar is I just gave you her name.
Gail Hartley Alley.
That's right. She's an exceptional person, exceptional. She is not a horticulturist. She never was. She's just a very bright, energetic person that was willing to take on the responsibility. Her degree, if I remember her telling me, is in business administration.
Okay.
She worked at the nuclear plant in that's in the Northwest, and several people noted how exceptional she was, and she was also a hosta collector. So she was asked to be the registrar, and very fortunately and lucky for us, she accepted.
Okay.
She has a beautiful garden. I've never been there before, but she and her husband, Phil, have a big estate, and it's called Alley's Alley.
That's cool. I think I read about them in one of the...
I think I wrote about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet you wrote it, probably. Well, that's very cool.
Warren, since you've spent decades writing What's in a Hosta Name, we thought you were the perfect person to play our game. Finish the rhyme. If you get 2 out of 3 correct, you'll win a limited edition Hasta La Vista vinyl water bottle sticker for yourself and one lucky winner. Mandy, who is Warren playing for today?
Warren is playing for Pat Graves of Roscoe, Illinois.
Okay, here's question number 1. Big leaves bold, with substance thick, a golden glow, genetics slick, a sport, a seedling, we need assistance, the standard bearer is some and...
Substance.
Good job. All right, question 2. Montana bloodline, margin bright, historic cultivar, stately sight, chosen with honor, it wears the name...
Montana Oreo marginata.
You got it.
Okay, last one. From Long Island fields to Delaware glow and backyard conventions long ago, this friend welcomed newcomers and dreamers. He, of course, is Alex.
Yeah.
Well, how did he do, Betsy?
Well, he, of course, is a pro, and he got all 3 correct. So congratulations, Warren. You have won a sticker for yourself and for Pat Graves.
We understand you're also known for growing hostas in containers. At one point, you overwintered 187 hostas in pots. What inspired that experiment?
Because I was living in an apartment and I didn't have any ground.
Okay.
That's the reason, if you think for a moment. And I still live in the same apartment. I still don't have any ground.
Sure.
So if you grow them in containers, they're easier to keep water.
Is container growing harder than growing in the ground, or just different?
You see, I think more people should container grow. And I had a large collection of hostas in containers on my porch. This apartment has a large porch, but I couldn't keep up with watering them, so I gave up hostas entirely. And I'm not sorry to say, I do miss them.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that'd be hard to give up.
Well, I must have had some 30 I'm talking about large containers, 16 inches, and they are self-watering. Are you familiar with the self-watering garden pots?
Maybe. I don't know. Describe it to me.
Well, it's the ones that a reservoir of water is in the container, and you keep that reservoir with water all the time, and therefore the hostas are watered all the time.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty great.
The largest, I wouldn't say the largest, but one of the most satisfactory self-watering garden pots sold by Target.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look that up because I think a lot of the people who listen to the podcast would probably benefit from just starting with a hosta on their porch instead of, diving in, with a huge garden. But pots seem to be very popular with our listeners over in Europe and in the UK. So I love that idea. You did that for years and years?
Oh, yes. The advantage, as I said, of growing hostas in containers is that you can bring them into a sheltered spot and you don't have winter freeze problems.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Also, you can avoid early spring problems because they can still be in a sheltered spot.
Now, if these pots are as big as you said they are, did you have some giant dolly or how did you move them?
With difficulty.
I can imagine.
I had a helper helping me.
Okay.
Two of us can pick up, and of course, I had a wheeled cart that I would put them on and wheel them to various areas.
Okay.
I had hostas in containers overwintered in my bedroom, for example.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, had to be careful where you overwintered them. You couldn't be too warm, otherwise it would start growing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can imagine that because they take a certain amount of dormancy, like 6 or 8 weeks, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we should do a study. Someone should do a study of just how long need to be overwintered.
Yeah.
Carefully.
Yeah, like what's the minimum,
Beg your pardon?
Like what is the minimum amount of dormancy that you could get away with before you replanted them?
My suggestion is probably 6 weeks.
Okay.
That's important to people who are exhibiting hostas in the springtime at some garden show. Because they have to take them out of dormancy. The plant is still still not showing, and they have to force them to be, come alive anyway on it.
Yeah.
There was a very famous horticulturist in the Boston area that featured hostas at the Boston Garden Show, which was probably in March.
Oh.
Can't think of his name right now. And he actually wrote an article for the Boston, the Boston horticultural people on how long they had to keep them before, how long they had, to put it another way, how short a distance of time, how short a time could keep them not in flower. Well, one of these days, I probably will write an article. I have pictures that I need to get into the print.
You've watched the American Hosta Society grow and evolve for nearly 50 years.
I'm proud of the society. I think it's one of the best garden societies. It's a great job. And remember, one of our functions in the society is to come up with new plants for the regular nursery people. And we do a very good job. And nursery people like working with hostas because they can call on us for any questions.
What advice would 95-year-old Warren give to 45-year-old Warren?
I would say keep after it. Keep after it.
Okay. Good advice.
Warren, thank you so much for sharing your time, knowledge, and stories with us. You truly are a legend in the hosta world, and it has been a real honor talking with you.
Before we go, what would you like to leave our listeners with today?
Listeners, as we were wrapping up with Warren, he had a question for me that I wasn't anticipating, and I didn't really know how to answer him. It required a fairly technical answer, and I was trying to find a way to explain it to him without being all technical. And so you'll notice there's a long pause. And then I thought, well, Betsy, you're talking to Dr. Warren Pollock. This man has done more technical things in his lifetime than you will ever do in yours. And he holds a PhD, and he's brilliant. So you know what? Let's just show him how we make the sausage around here and get technical with him. So if you've ever wondered how the podcast does what it does, here you go. Now you know. Oh, and one more thing. He wasn't quite done telling us stories. He had one more left to tell, and I'm sure that some of you were at the event that he is talking about. Enjoy.
I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. And why are you going to have your episodes on Spotify?
why are we having them on Spotify? Well, there's only a number of platforms that we can put our podcast out on. Spotify is probably the biggest platform that hosts podcasts, but there are others. Apple Podcast has one, YouTube has one, but to get very technical, they use something called an RSS feed, and once you upload it to one podcast platform, it will be shared to all the podcast platforms. So it's kind of nice for me that I only have to upload it to one location, and it will then send our episode to all podcast platforms. So regardless of how people listen, they'll all have access to your episode.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Warren, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I'm really glad we could get together.
Maybe we will in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again very much, and I hope you're feeling better, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your lovely day.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I ask one final thing? Would you say hasta la vista, baby?
Hasta la vista, baby. Wait a minute, there's a story involved with that. Hasta la vista was what Russ O'Hara used. First time I heard that name, the term was from Russ. Remember Russ O'Hara from Des Moines, Iowa?
No, I don't know him.
He passed away some time ago, and I were good friends. He lived in Des Moines. He had the second best Hosta collection in Des Moines. I'm trying to think of Gunther what? The other Hosta collection. Gunther Stark.
Gunther Stark. Okay. Well, he was in Des Moines also?
Yes. Well, a story and that's been told about Gunther is that he grew hostas and sold them. And the hostas were exceptionally large. They're very inexpensive. The reason why the hostas were so big is that the property originally was a pig farm, P-I-G.
Oh.
The refuse,
Oh.
so very highly fertilized.
You're being very delicate about what you're talking about.
Well, but anyway, people would go to his garden and buy big plants for virtually nothing in cost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Gunther's prize growing in my yard. It's a beautiful plant.
That was a Solberg.
Yeah.
Covered it, put it up for auction, and Gunther bought it. He never bid on the auction until the very last, and therefore he outbid everybody because nobody thought he was going to bid for it. So therefore the name became Gunther's Surprise.
Oh my gosh. So he swooped in at the last minute.
All right, there. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Bye-bye, Warren. Thank you.
Join us next time when we chat with another expert from the Hosta world. You can listen to all of our episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you have a question for us or want to leave us a comment, reach out to us at hostalavistapodcast@gmail.com. And remember, that's Hosta with an O.
Thanks for joining us from every corner of the world. Your passion keeps the Hosta community growing strong. Until next time.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Special thanks to Green Hill Hostas for sponsoring Season 2 of Hosta La Vista. Green Hill Hostas, home of great new hostas.
Support also comes from In the Country Garden and Gifts, where this is Hosta Country. Shop online at inthecountrygardenandgifts.com.